I'm so done, guys. Oh my god. It's not ending! Now I know why people don't anyhow do this kind of video. Hi! Welcome back to another video. So as you would have seen from the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be trying a new format / reading challenge which has already been going around booktube for quite some time. This video will not end until I read a 5-star book, and this will be anticipated releases edition because currently there is a reading goals collab going around. This is organized by Reading with Meredith, and our goal is to read our 2023 anticipated releases as much as we can, basically. So that's what I am doing. Just that because I've done like quite a few reading vlogs where I read anticipated releases already, I wanted to shake things up a bit. So trying out a different format, which is the video will not end until I read a 5-star. I do not know how this is going to turn out because reading anticipated releases, you would expect them to be 5 stars, but some of them might not be, and that was proven in some of my previous videos already. I only have 7 books left out of the 23 anticipated releases, so I've been doing quite well, right? And out of the ones that are remaining, some of them I would have to read a book before reading that book, so I will not be prioritizing those because it's end of the year already and this video is expected to go out on December. So I will try to read more books, but also considering the fact that I have to read other books for other videos, I'm just gonna try. The motto for this channel is just trying. So the first book that I started off with is Best Served Hot by Amanda Elliott. She first wrote Sadie on a Plate, and then this book is the next book that came out. The ratings though on Goodreads are kind of scary, so I was quite surprised when I saw it for myself. It's 3.34 on Goodreads. So this book, right, we follow Julie Zimmerman, who works as an executive assistant, but on the side she has an Instagram account called Julie Z Eats NYC, where she's a social media restaurant reviewer. So she currently has over 50,000 followers, and while she loves what she's doing for her account, she really wants to be a critic at a major newspaper, for example the New York Scroll. So she applied for the opening, but she found out that she got rejected, and this guy called Bennett Richard McAllister Wright took the position. So she is very resentful because she feels like it's because newspapers don't really like to hire females, they just always give the position to white males to review, and she feels like it's very misogynistic. And then one day she chances upon Bennett at a food festival, and so she confronted him about that at the food festival, about how, oh, you're just like all the other food critics that were hired before you, you're a white man. And she also said things like, you are everything that's wrong with food writing and restaurant reviewing today, you could never do what I do. And I was just like, wow, that scene was so painful to read. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll talk more about that later, but basically from that confrontation, her friend Alice filmed the incident, and then Julie edited it and posted it online. The video went viral until the higher-ups at the Scroll made Bennett make a proposition to Julie to write on this high and make the both of them review the same restaurants on the same day for the audience to see like how different their perspectives and their reviews can be based on the same food and the same experience. So that's how they come to work together. But oh my goodness, I cannot stand how judgmental and quick to jump to conclusions and just very external blaming Julie is. Like, oh my goodness, like she is so self-centered. Just from that food festival confrontational scene alone, I was like, I really do not like Julie. And the rest of the book, she continues to be judgmental of not just Bennett but also her boss's daughter, Emerson Lee. She just thinks like, oh, she's like a rich man's daughter, don't need to be smart, she's just like a dumb blonde or something like that. And then she'll question her abilities to, like, I don't know, plan parties, even though she's like her sorority's party planner, things like that. And then she'll be like, oh, you're actually really good at this. Like, huh? Oh my goodness. And then it will be very random things like, oh, she was too obsessed with editing the video until she forgot to eat, and then by the time she realized, all the shops had closed. And then she will be like, if it weren't for him and his extremely punchable face, I'll be eating delicious roti right now. And then I'll be like, girl, calm down. And the fact that she is the female main character of this story is making it worse because it doesn't make me want to read the story, but I thought it would be a good point to start this video at because it's definitely not going to be a 5-star. The food descriptions are really good, which is the salvageable part of this story. Similar with Sadie on a Plate, right? I didn't really care about the romance because I just don't think Amanda Elliott's romances are for me, but her food descriptions are for me. So those are the parts that I enjoy. Like, they make me really hungry, and like, for example, in Sadie on a Plate there is the competition, and in Best Served Hot there is this reviewing restaurant or food critics reviewing portion, which makes me really intrigued. But the romance, I really couldn't care less. So those are my thoughts so far. I'm actually 73.4% in, 73% in. I will be finishing this soon, and I will be coming back to let you know my final review, trigger warnings, and my rating. But do know that this will not be a 5-star, so this video will not be ending here. Just that I don't know how long this video will be depending on how good the books will be. So yeah, let's get started. Well, I'm coming back to update much sooner than expected. I literally just sat in the same spot and continued reading, and I'm now done with the book. To give you my review, I will start with trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for bullying, emotional abuse, and misogyny. I decided to give this 2 stars because it just got worse. I don't see the chemistry between Bennett and Julie because I don't understand what Bennett sees in Julie. She is such an unlikable character, right? That I really... out of all the books I've read this year, I think she's the most unlikable one. I've never been more annoyed by a character. I don't believe so. She is so judgmental of Bennett and Emerson Lee, who is the daughter of her boss. And I'm just like... I am going to be talking about spoilers about how judgmental she is, but if you don't want to be spoiled by anything about this book, then skip ahead. So Emerson Lee was trying to put together a business for pet yoga, and so she was seeking advice from Julie on how she should go about doing it, like promoting her business, you know. Julie suggested that she host a party with all her friends, all her contacts in the industry, and just try to get them to help spread the word. And so at the party itself, I think she kind of expected that Julie would help her behind the scenes to, like, I don't know, serve champagne, things like that. And Julie was very resentful of how Emerson Lee didn't even ask her, and she just assumed that it would be done. And then also she was just very skeptical of her business. She felt like it was a total waste of time, it wouldn't work out. And then she just didn't say that to Emerson Lee, and she just was very condescending and looked down upon her business, that kind of vibes. But then it was also like, oh, even if you fail, it's fine because you have a rich dad who will cover your ass, things like that. And so at the party itself, Emerson Lee said something, and then Julie just rolled her eyes, but somehow she also did something with her body that she dropped like a whole tray of champagne. And so Emerson Lee was like, it's okay, do you need like advice from me, things like that. And then Julie just exploded, also because that happened after the third eye conflict, I guess. Then that adds on to her emotional turmoil. But anyway, she exploded, and then she was like, yeah, sure, I'll seek advice. I'm gonna read to you what she said, okay, at the party. Sure, I'll ask for some advice. Do you have any advice for someone who wasn't born with a massive family and fortune, who can't decide to quit their job and start a ridiculous business on a whim because they don't have parents who can pay their rent and invest in their ridiculous business? Did you even think about me working here tonight, or do you just assume? I don't work for you, but you assumed I'll be here working anyway. I have a life too. Does that even matter to you? She like immediately felt guilty and she ran away. But this wasn't the first time that she was very judgmental and confrontational, and she doesn't change. Like, okay, I mean, she apologized after that, but it's the same with Bennett, right? She's just this person who is very judgmental of people and does things that she will regret after doing the things that hurt other people. And I just couldn't stand it already. So obviously she got fired from that job, and then they resolved that conflict by Emerson Lee realizing that she is very privileged. She went to apologize to Julie. They both apologized to each other. But I was just like, the problems that she thought Emerson Lee had, it felt like not as big as the problem that Julie has, but Emerson Lee had a bigger realization than Julie herself. And I was just like, no, that's not what I want, and that's not what it should be. But that's what happened. So I really couldn't with this story, so I decided to give it 2 stars. So yes, the video will be continuing. No, I will not be recommending this book. So sadly, one of my anticipated releases got a 2-star, but it's fine. It's like 1 compared to how many better books. So yeah, it's fine. I'll update you when I start reading the next book. Hi, so I finished In the Lives of Puppets a few days ago, but I am only coming on now to update because I only have time now to update. And Safe to say that this video is going to continue, which I am sure you can tell by the length of this video that it's not the end yet, because this was not a 5-star. So let me give you my review and then we can talk about it further. I also didn't have time to even give like a midway update, but actually I don't think there would have been much to update in terms of from the midpoint to the end, so there's no point. So I think I have already shared the synopsis. If not, I'll put it here. But let me start with trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for grief, genocide, violence, blood, confinement, death, sexual content, animal death, panic attacks, or disorders. In the end, I decided to give this 3 stars because I don't really feel the magic of this story compared to when I read House in the Cerulean Sea, and I think it's like a downward trend actually, because I think I gave House in the Cerulean Sea 4.5 or 5 stars, and then Under the Whispering Door was like a 4, and then now this is a 3. What I liked about this story, right, was the characters. Like Rambo and Nurse Ratched, I think, are really funny. Their chemistry together is really cute. One is a nursing robot and one is like a vacuum cleaner that somehow can talk. Their characters are also very funny because Rambo is like the very like fun, goofy character, right? Like, yeah, we're all gonna die, or like those kind of vibes. But Nurse Ratched is like the sarcastic counter to Rambo, which I really appreciated. But after a while, the book is quite long, right? So you will feel a bit tired of them doing the same thing over and over again. And the storyline, I was also like quite apathetic about. I wasn't really like invested in the story, so I wasn't particularly anxious or felt any particular strong emotion when reading the story, which is quite sad because for me, when I read books, right, my enjoyment of the story is dependent on how strongly the book makes me feel any particular emotion, which this didn't really hit anything. So I would say that it was an okay read, just that it's not a favorite. Yeah, even though there was like romance in this as well, I wasn't rooting for the characters. I felt like they would have been better off as very good friends. I didn't feel the romantic chemistry between them, and the familial bond was okay. It's really like just mediocre for me, which I'm quite sad by because this is an anticipated read, right? But yeah, that's all I have to say for In the Lives of Puppets. And for the next book, I don't know if I should include this because technically I didn't include this in my 23 anticipated releases of 2023 video, but I have come to anticipate this book the moment I knew of its existence and want to read it. So I'm not sure whether that counts, but I'm just going to include it anyway because there's a chance that it could be a 5-star, but there's also a chance that it couldn't be. So I started reading Welcome to the Hyeonam-dong Bookshop, which is a contemporary fiction translated from Korean, and it's translated by a Singaporean, and it also hit like news articles and things like that. So I was very proud. I am still very proud. And the story is it's like a slice of life novel, and it also says in the description that it is perfect for readers of Matt Haig's Midnight Library, which I really loved, and I have it on my shelf, so you just can't see it. Okay, I'm getting things from the synopsis that I haven't gotten from the story yet. But basically, we follow Yongju, who decides to open a bookshop and become a bookseller. She got divorced and she also quit her job to start this bookshop in a small residential neighborhood outside the city. For the first few months, all she does is cry, which deters visitors. But as time goes on, she starts to mull over what makes a good bookseller and a good bookstore, and she starts to make changes in terms of how she runs the bookstore. For example, she starts to make the space available for authors to rent for events and things like that. And along the way, she also starts to hire a barista to help her manage coffee orders and just make good drinks for customers who come into the bookshop and want to have a good time in the bookshop by enjoying a good cup of coffee. And for this particular book, I guess I wouldn't recommend the audiobook because it feels quite monotone to me, but I am still listening to it and reading the book at the same time. I really feel that the book has a lot of important messages similar to what the Midnight Library does, and the fact that it's translated and I don't feel the nagging sensation that, oh, this is translated fiction, so I have to be mindful of how the writing may not be the best, is already hitting a good place for me. And I am very intrigued by the characters, and the message is like something that I really need right now because it's about how sometimes it's okay to just go at your own pace, go for what you want compared to what society expects of you, and you have to take that leap of faith and courage and just go for it. Don't compare yourself to what society thinks is best for someone of your age or someone of your qualifications, for example. And it's just a really important message which I am really liking. Not sure whether it will be 5 stars, but for now I'm thinking it will be a 4, but we shall see how. I'm still quite early on in the book. I am 44% in. So yeah, I will come back again to update you on my final rating and review of how the book is. I'm getting the vibes that I want to buy the book, which is like so, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten the vibes of wanting to buy a book in a not long, but in a few months. So that's something for me. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Hi! I have since finished Welcome to the Hyunam-dong bookshop, and I guess you'll know the answer judging by the length of this video, but I did not give it a 5 star, unfortunately, but it came very, very close. In the end, I decided to give the book 4.5 stars, and I really highlighted a lot of quotes, and I feel like it's a really good book to read when you are personally experiencing a lot of self-doubt and burnout perhaps from working. You feel very pressured by the societal expectations. I feel like this book is a really good book to read and take a step back and relax, because it's about the author who also had similar experiences and has since decided to open a bookshop, and her different ways of trying to keep the bookshop open for longer. I personally feel like I would want to buy the book and like highlight all the different quotes, but now when I try to evaluate it, it doesn't give me the 5-star feeling, which is like it's the easy way out for this video is for me to just say that yes, this is a 5-star and then I can end the video here, right? But I want to be morally obligated. I want to uphold to my own moral standards, and so sadly this was not a 5-star, but it came really very close, and I am starting to panic a bit because I think this video is also getting a little long. But this book was so good. Like out of all the books I've read for this video so far, I really want to recommend this book to you. I think I already mentioned in a previous clip, but the translation is so good by a Singaporean also. Oh my god, I'm so proud. The writing didn't feel choppy. I feel like it's not easy to tell that this was not the original language, as in when you read it you wouldn't feel that oh, this is translated, so I have to be more understanding. The writing may not come across as good. There wasn't any problems with that when I was reading this book. I feel like I'll add it to my favorites, but I don't think it's a 5-star. Why? Because it didn't give you the feelings, for one, and for two, it felt like there was just something missing, like some spark. All the characters are nice and they all have different characteristics and storylines, but somehow they are not super memorable. Like for example, later on in the story we'll talk about this particular character, then I'll be like, which character is this? What role did they play earlier on in the book? But I really liked the story of this and I'm happy with my reading experience, so I would recommend it to you as well. So yeah, I'll go on to read the next book. Hopefully the last book is like my last super anticipated release, and hopefully, if not, I really don't know what else to read already. So yeah. Hi, so we are at, is it the 5th book or is it the 4th book? I think it's the 4th book for this video. I'm really hoping it's the last, but okay. I started reading Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. First young adult romance, if I'm not wrong. It has a focus on chess. So let me just read you the blurb, okay? Mallory Greenleaf is done with chess. Every move counts nowadays. After the sport led to the destruction of her family 4 years earlier, Mallory's focus is on her mum, her sisters, and the dead-end job that keeps the lights on. That is, until she begrudgingly agrees to play in one last charity tournament and inadvertently wipes the board with notorious king killer Nolan Sawyer, current world champion and reigning bad boy of chess. Nolan's loss to an unknown rookie shocks everyone. What's even more confusing, his desire to cross pawns again. What kind of gambit is Nolan playing? The smart move would be to walk away, resign, game over. But Mallory's victory opens the door to sorely needed cash prizes, and despite everything, she can't help feeling drawn to the enigmatic strategist. I'm reading the ebook and I am like ebook pages are a bit weird, okay, but I'm at page 100 out of 525, where I'm at in the story, right? She has already completed the tournament and won against Nolan, and then she has been recruited by, I think, a rival chess agency is what I can try to explain. So she is like employed to like go for all these games and win more matches against Nolan and other players. So currently she is still going through training, so she is like reading a lot of books pertaining to chess, and then not so much of the actual playing yet, apart from that one match she played against Nolan. And for what I can see right now, I think that the story, maybe because Ali Hazelwood started with adult novels, when I'm reading this it doesn't feel like it's super childish, in that sometimes I get that feeling when I'm reading young adult. I feel like it's not a book that is suitable for my age because I'm not in the young adult category anymore, right? But this doesn't feel that way. The writing feels really good and the characters are quite fleshed out, which is quite important to me. I mean, because they haven't interacted much yet, I can't really say much about the romance, but I am enjoying it so far. I'm really hoping that this will be a 5-star. I can't guarantee, and I'm quite scared that it will not be, because then this video will not end. I need to upload this video before December ends, right? Because it's part of the collab and everything. But yeah, I'm praying hard, fingers crossed, that this will be the 5-star that I'm envisioning it to be. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Hi! I have finished Check and Mate. Like, I just finished and I just ran it through Kopal, and by the length of this video you would know that this is not a 5-star. But considering how long this video is getting and the fact that I have to read this book for the Goodreads video, I'm going to save most of my thoughts for the Goodreads video because I have quite a few, and I forgot to talk about In the Lives of Puppets in that one, but I talked about it in this one, so it's kind of like a treat. So yes, please go watch that video when it's out if you want full thoughts. But in the end I decided to give it 3.5 stars, which I feel like is the lowest out of all the full-length novels that I've read from Ali Hazelwood so far. I'm not sure if it's because it's YA that contributed to this reason, but I did not like Mallory. Oh my goodness. I felt that Nolan deserved better, but he was just head over heels for Mallory. Oh, I forgot to give trigger warning. Trigger warnings for sexism, misogyny, death of a parent, chronic illness, infidelity, sexual content, car accidents, alcoholism, and cursing. But what I did appreciate about this novel was that I felt that it was quite refreshing for a YA novel because, like I mentioned in my previous clip, the writing was really mature and well written. I liked that they talk about things like different sexualities in the book, as well as the chess world industry in general, and how sexism is very much apparent, just like how it is in STEM. There was a lot of chess. I mean, for a book to be about chess, you have to have a lot of chess, right? So she studied a chess study in university, which makes sense now. As I was wondering how she had so much knowledge. I feel like this was quite a disappointment because I really expected this book to be my 5-star, but no, this video is going to continue. So sadly, this video is continuing. I'll come back and update once I start the next book. I don't even know what to read at this point. I feel like I need to throw away that list that I made from that video because nothing seems to be working. Oh, I'm so done, guys. Oh my god. This video was supposed to go out in December 2023. It is January 2024. Happy New Year, guys. But okay, I finished the only one left, which was like one of my anticipated releases also, right? I think I don't think I put it on the list, but I think I removed it at that time because I only had 23, but this was on there, okay. I've since finished it and I'm here to give you my review of it. But if you cannot tell from my face, we are continuing with this video, and I don't know what book it is even at this point. Now I know why people don't anyhow do this kind of videos. Oh my god. Trigger warnings. Okay, and this is actually like spoilers, so if you don't want to know anything or be spoiled about this book, please skip ahead. Trigger warnings for murder, death of parent, death, pregnancy, suicide attempt, suicide. So this book is about Lenora Hope and her family, the Hope family. In 1929, this big hoo-ha case happened because her parents and her sister were found murdered, so she was the only one left in the family who survived. And from the incident, she became mute, paralyzed, and confined to a wheelchair. So she hasn't been able to tell her side of the story. So nobody knows whether she actually did it because there was no concluding evidence, but everybody like suspects that it's her. Then fast forward to many years later, her new live-in caregiver called Kit, when Lenora sees her, she typed on a typewriter saying that she wants to tell Kit everything that happened on that night. And then that's where the story progresses. So that's all I can say for the plot summary. I found it to be very intriguing at the start, but then as we got further along in the story and more plot points were reviewed, I felt like the reviews were getting a bit unrealistic and the author was just trying to do as many surprises as possible. So in the end, I gave it 3.5 stars. So on to spoilers. I was loving the book so much until I think it was like we thought Mrs. Baker was the one who did it, the murders. And then until the review that Mrs. Baker was actually Lenora, and Lenora was actually Virginia, her sister. I kind of had an inkling that maybe her sister was alive, but I thought that the sister was in the nursing home. But no. So that took me by surprise. And then it kind of like everything clicked into place because Lenora was typing about what happened, right? And then she would mention her sister. But actually Virginia was the one typing. So her sister was actually Lenora. So that really like wowed me. But then after that, we had more twists and turns in that Kit's father was actually the father of Lenora / Virginia's baby. And then I was like, huh? Because we had a plot point where the family gardener or whatever named Carter thought that he was Lenora's grandson because he was orphaned, and then around the same time that Virginia gave birth. So it's like could be grandson, but her father was the one that was the father of their child. It's a bit like, huh? And then so coincidental, like, huh, really? And then the last twist that I still remember was actually Lenora was pretending the whole time. So she could actually walk, she could actually move her hand, she could actually speak, but she was pretending the whole time. And then I was like, that doesn't make sense, because Kit, when she first met Lenora, she tested her limbs and she was like, okay, her legs are like correct from polio. That's how her legs have become the state of them. Her arms also. Then you're telling me that through the examination, she couldn't figure out that her legs were actually working fine, and then she heard noises at night, right? So she would open the door and then she wouldn't see anything. Virginia would just lie in bed. But then in the final review, the letter, Virginia was saying that, oh, it was actually me that was walking around my room at night. Like, how she is like 70 plus 80, cannot be her reflexes so fast, right? And then at one point, Kit even suspected. Then she went to like hold her precious Paris snow globe gifted to her by her dead parents in front of her. She was going to drop it, and then when she dropped it, Virginia didn't move, and so the thing shattered. But maybe she thought that was like okay, I cannot review myself, but it's still like, it doesn't make sense because of everything that happened before that. That made me lower my rating by a lot, because I feel like it's one thing to want to surprise your audience, but you have to make sure that it's still logical. So I give it 3.5 stars. Okay, at this point, I have no more anticipated releases that I think will be 5 stars. I am now going to look at 2023 releases that I may not have been anticipating, but now I feel like they will be 5 stars. Please let me find the next one and end the video. Oh my god. Hi! So I am coming on to update that I have finished yet another book, but it's still not a 5 star. So welcome to my movie, everybody. This is like my first documentary. I feel like it's gonna be the longest video I've ever made because of the number of books. I don't even know how many I've read for this video already, but it's not ending. So Meredith, if you're watching this, it's not because I don't want to post, okay? It's because the books don't want to let me post. Okay, but anyway, I hope you're enjoying. I mean, I don't even know if anybody is still watching, but yeah, okay. The book that I recently finished was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. As I informed you in the previous clip, it's like the corporate lingo, I am going to be focusing on 2023 releases now rather than just my anticipated, because we have already finished that list of anticipated releases that I still think are going to be 5 stars, and it hasn't worked. So Days at the Morisaki Bookshop is a translated Jap-lit. It's about 25-year-old Takako who was living her life until one day her boyfriend decided to suddenly announce that he has been cheating on her and he's marrying the other woman who is also working at the same company. So they're all working at the same company. Because of the situation, she decided to break up with the guy and also leave her job. So she spirals into a deep depression, right? And while she's in her depths of despair, she receives a call from her distant uncle. So he has always been pursuing an unconventional life in that he runs a second-hand bookshop in Jimbocho, Tokyo's famous book district. She once looked down upon his life, but now she reluctantly accepts his offer to live in the tiny room above his bookshop rent-free in exchange to helping up at the bookstore. So in the months that follow, she actually develops a passion for Japanese literature. She starts to make friends in the neighborhood and things like that. Then the story develops from there. Trigger warnings for infidelity, miscarriage, infertility, terminal illness, abortion, child death, cancer, and pregnancy. And as I was reading this, right, I was really reminded of Welcome to the Hyonam-dong bookshop, and I felt myself enjoying this one much less than Welcome to the Hyonam-dong bookshop. I would think it's because of the message that the book is trying to achieve. So Welcome to the Hyonam-dong bookshop, right, it's really clear that the message is about how you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others, you shouldn't conform to societal expectations of what success looks like to you, things like that. But for this one, it has a bit of the same message, but it also includes things like, I don't know, her uncle's wife that left him 5 years ago then suddenly comes back, or the cheating element. And then to me, I wasn't really attracted to those things, and so I just found it to be very like and then even towards the end, I couldn't really understand the ending, or like wasn't really satisfied with the ending, in that I felt like I don't know what I was reading so much for, because I don't know what the book is trying to leave me with, if that makes sense. So I decided to give it 2.75 stars because I still love books about books, but it just didn't hit me as hard. And so am I regretting not giving Welcome to the Hyonam-dong 5 stars? Maybe, but I don't think I would. It's a favourite, but I wouldn't really give it 5 stars, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stick to what I decided on many books ago and continue reading and hopefully end this video soon. I'm filming at golden hour, so that's why there's this light on my face that kind of just makes my face look super red. But okay, anyway, I finished Assistant to the Villain. Let me just tell you what the story is about. So obviously, if you couldn't tell from the title, our main character works as the assistant to the villain in this village, town. It gives me like, is it Regency? Oh my god, I know already. You know, like Shrek, the town's villain. That's the vibe that I get when reading this. So basically, there's a very good guy and there's a very bad guy, but our bad guy is not as bad as it seems, or the good doesn't seem as good as it seems, because he takes our main character in. Our main character is called Evie. She needed a job, and then she encountered the villain while he was like hiding from people who are after him. She kind of lets slip that she needs a job, and then he was like, okay, I'm just gonna give you a job, you know. She starts working as his personal assistant, and then things go from there. So the plot gets more complicated as the story goes on. This felt quite long in my opinion, or maybe it was just an issue of the pacing, but you would get plot points on the rivalry between him and King Benedict, who is like the town's hero, things like that, and then eventually you come to find out why they're at odds, and apparently someone wants the villain dead, and we're trying to find out who exactly is that person. Then there's also the romance that is such a good slow burn between Evie and the villain. So if you couldn't already tell, this book is not a 5-star. I gave it 3.5 stars. I was very excited when I first started reading it because I was like, is this the one? I felt the vibes. But then as the story progressed, it got slightly more political. There were weird points of, I don't know, they had to capture this, I'll put the term here, and then somehow it's like between him and the king, and some weird plot point, which I felt like the story could have done without, or at least not make it so convoluted. I kind of wanted just like a simple romance, fantasy romance, but not so heavy on the politics, but sadly that wasn't the case. But it was enjoyable to read about how Evie was a personal assistant to the villain, and how the town thinks that the villain is this old Scrooge, but end up it's this 30-something-year-old guy that just looks like a normal person, and how they call coffee cauldron brew, but he doesn't want to let anybody know that he doesn't like the cauldron brew black. So he prefers it to be infused with a lot of cream, a lot of sugar. So Evie has to secretly add that in and give it to him. So it's like all these little random details, you know, that I really love. But then there were other points of the story that kind of dragged the book, such that it became unnecessarily long in my opinion. So I decided to give it 3.5 stars. I am now realizing that I didn't say trigger warnings, so give me a moment. Trigger warnings for violence, blood, death, sexual assault, murder, torture, child death, sexual harassment, and abandonment. So that's all I'm gonna say because this video is getting too long. Essentially all my thoughts were summarized as such. I don't think I'm gonna continue with this series actually. I don't know. Maybe if I see people like reading about it, then I'll be inspired to pick it up. Because, okay, spoilers, the first book ended on a cliffhanger, but I wasn't that like bothered by it. I was just like, okay, sure, like not like I care, that kind of thing, you know. So it kind of gave me an indication that I wouldn't really want to continue with the series. I'm gonna see what happens, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna say for now. to the next 2023 release. Hi, I don't have time, so I'm gonna very quickly speed run through the 2 books that I've read so far that weren't 5 stars still. So the first book was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This one I was expecting quite a bit because it was listed as like 2 booktubers best books of 2023. I have no time for trigger warning, so I'm just gonna put it here, okay? But basically the book is a fantasy romance but also historical setting, and it's about this girl. She types letters to her brother on a typewriter and she just puts them in the wardrobe, but strangely they disappear, and then one day she gets a reply. So it's like back and forth with this mysterious person, and at the same time she's working as an editor or reporter or journalist in a publishing company. She has an arch enemy there because he's always competing with her on writing and then on becoming the columnist, and after that, a bit of spoilers, she gets rejected and the guy gets chosen. So she then moves on to become a war correspondent, and the story progresses from there. I'm doing a very bad job explaining, but the romance, the chemistry was very good. They're very sweet, and I gave it 4.25 stars because historical settings really don't work for me, but it was still okay. Like, I'm surprised I gave it such a high rating, probably because of the letters aspect and the romance. So I'm looking forward to reading the next book and also the final book in this duology, Ruthless Vows, and that was published in 2024. So yeah, 4.25 stars. Okay, I need to go. I'll come back soon. Bye bye. Hi, as promised, I am back with my review of the next book that I read. I feel like I gave a really shitty review of Divine Rivals, so if I had anything else to add, I would say that it was just, I was very surprised at how a fantasy historical romance could still wow me so much. I guess maybe because it's romance. Like, if it's just historical fiction, I cannot. But I didn't give it the full 5 because at times it dragged on a little bit, and then there were quite a few plot points going on because I forgot to mention in the previous clip that her name is Iris and the guy's name is Roman. Oh, okay, it's mentioned in the blurb that actually Roman is the one who receives the letters and he's also her rival at work. There's also the plot point of how Iris started writing the letters in the first place because her brother signed up to serve in the war. Then he hasn't written back in a long time, even though he promised he would. So when she went to become a war correspondent, it's also like partly because of him. Okay, then the next book that I read was Hello Stranger. This book over here by Catherine Center, who she also wrote The Bodyguard. And this book is about Sadie Montgomery, who is an artist preparing for her final art piece for this prestigious portrait competition, and she beat like a lot of people. I think 2,000 applied and only 10 finalists were chosen, and so she's preparing for that when suddenly she gets into an accident. She discovers that there is this thing or tumor in her brain. If not removed, it will cause like severe consequences. So she has that surgery, but then after that, when she wakes up, she realizes that she has this thing called face blindness. So she can still see, but every face she looks at is a jumbled puzzle of disconnected features, and she's just trying to navigate that with the competition looming, as well as her family members. She has some like history with that as well, and also like a certain romance, because right afterwards she starts to get involved with this guy. So yeah, I can say the trigger warnings for this one. Trigger warnings for death of parent, medical content, bullying, panic attacks or disorders, grief and gaslighting, as well as a suicide attempt. In the end, I gave this 3.5 stars because I could feel the chemistry, but it wasn't wowing me, if that makes sense. I felt like the plot was quite predictable, especially at the end. I was like, it really felt so predictable, and I think the author also recognizes that because it felt like she was explaining how it's possible through Q&As among the different characters, and then I was like, yeah, that wasn't really my cup of tea. I do appreciate the fact that face blindness was portrayed in this book, but the plot was very predictable. So in the end, I gave it 3.5 stars. So onward to the next book. Hopefully, I don't even know whether I should have hope at this point. But I mean, I already welcomed you to my movie, right? We'll just see how long this goes. Okay, so another book, another non-5 star. I don't know how long this video is gonna go on. Basically, I read the prequel to Legends and Lattes, Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry, and I gave this 4.25 stars. Trigger warnings for injury/injury detail, cursing, violence, death, blood, medical content, animal cruelty, and alcohol. This one is a prequel to Legends and Lattes, so it follows Viv, who is an orc, and how she first started as a mercenary in this group, and then after that she sustains an injury. So she gets forced to stay in this town to recover and recuperate because she got stabbed in the leg. So while she does that, she gets to know like the villagers in the town. For example, Fern, who is a bookseller, and Meili, who is the owner of a bakery, as well as of a certain, I think she's a dwarf or a gnome called Galina. And we also have Fern's pet called Pot Roast. I have no idea what. I think this is a Griffith or something like that. It's the same vibes as Legends and Latte. It's very cozy. I would say still quite low stakes. I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it the same rating as I did for Legends and Lattes. I really enjoyed the book selling part of this book where Viv stumbles across Fern's bookshop and then she finds that it's not doing so well and she tries to help her get the bookshop back on its feet, be it like painting the interior or mending rotting planks or reorganizing the bookshelves, even like certain new ideas that they come up with that I was just like, oh, it's so interesting. Honestly, not much to say. I didn't give it the full 5 stars because I felt that the points where the book tried to have some stakes in the book were quite redundant in that it's so meh and the stakes are not high. So it's really like, what is the point, right? So I gave it 4.25 stars, still a very high rating. Just that it's not 5 stars. I'm so sad. But okay, what can I do, right? So on to the next book. Hi! So I am finally back to update this video after super long. Actually, I think I put this video on a pause because nothing that I was reading was giving me any feels, and I was actually almost going to either just stop the video with the conclusion that it will never see the light of day because I wasn't going to get a 5-star read, or just post it anyway and change the title. But I recently started reading this book and I'm almost done with it. I think I'm about 3/4 of the way through. As of right now, the 5-star vibes are very strong, guys, and it is a 2023 release. Super exciting. But basically the book is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, and it's an own voices story because the author also has the same disability that our female main character Winifred has. So she has been born with a naturally smaller limb, and it's like a bit curled, the fingers, and it's just small. So basically the story is about how Win has a one-night stand with this incredibly charming guy named Bo, who has a prosthetic leg, and so they have this super incredible one-night stand. They both made it clear to each other that they weren't expecting anything more. So imagine Win's surprise when her period is 8 weeks late and she finds out that she's actually pregnant with Bo's child. The rest of the story then progresses into how they're navigating this unexpected pregnancy and how they're navigating their relationship with each other because they want to be there for each other. They want to be there for their child. So they're trying to get to know each other as a person also because they had a one-night stand when they were essentially strangers, right? And it's freaking cute. Oh my god, Bo is like the ultimate green flag guy. He does so much for Win, and it's like, oh my god, like please stop ruining men for me. But yeah, they kind of find themselves in a co-living situation also. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much of the book because you really need to read this book. I just love it so much. The story is so special and it talks a lot about how they are both navigating their disabilities, and the author also mentioned at the start that she deliberately included this conversation on how Win had a choice on whether or not to abort the child, and she thought that it was important to include in the book because these discussions are important, and also like how life is like for them basically. And they're so cute. Their chemistry is so good, and I couldn't stop reading the book the moment I picked it up. Okay, that's been the only thing that's been consuming my thought for the past I don't know how many hours. I spent literally the most of today just reading that book. And I just wanted to update before I finished it because then I can like come in twice and share about how obsessed I am with this book. Definitely going to be a favorite for this year. Stay tuned as I come back, and hopefully it's still a 5-star. Please like this video, and oh my god. And also I love this book so much, so I don't see why it won't be a 5-star unless there is this like, I don't know, the act conflict that ruins the book for me, but hopefully not. So I'll come back and update. Hi, I came to close out the video. Yes, close out, because I finally found my 5-star. Oh my god, that was a freaking long journey that took I don't know how many months. Since 2023, it is now May 2024. I mean, I stopped filming for this video for like a few months, but yeah, it took way too long. Oh my god, I'm so happy that I can finally close out the video. Yes, that book was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Thank you for saving my life. Okay, let's go into... Okay, obviously it's a 5-star, but let's go into the trigger warnings. From the author herself, trigger warnings for graphic sexual content, pregnancy and symptoms of pregnancy, brief discussion of abortion, pro-choice stance not performed, ableism in reference to a limb difference, verbally abusive ex-partner, no reappearance, death of a parent, passed off page, depression and suicide, passed off page, cancer, past not reoccurring, amputation, passed off page. I actually think that I addressed or like commented on most of the things that I loved about the book already, but the feeling just persisted all the way until I finished the book, and it was so good. Like, it's to the point where it's one of my favorites of the year and I want to buy the physical copy of it. Was it slightly cheesy in the way that you can clearly tell both characters are in love with each other but they're in the denial phase? Yes. But they love it anyway? Yes. Oh my god, freaking Bo is such a green flag. Oh my god, so cute. I also think this is the first book wherein I've read from that has an accidental pregnancy trope or even like a pregnancy trope in this as the main trope, and I loved how it was handled. Oh my god, such green flags and so cute. So I'm also very sad because I read this via my ebook but it was corrupted, so all the quotes that I've highlighted I can't really find. But it's okay because once I get the physical book, once, not if, I will highlight everything. I'll reread it someday and highlight everything that I want to highlight again. So cute, and love the disability wrap also. Just pick up the book, that's all I have to say. And I'm finally done. Oh my god. I don't know if anyone is still here. They might be, because the purpose of this video is to find out what book made me give it a 5-star in the end, right? So if you're still watching, please comment a celebratory emoji, like, you know, the surprise party hat thing. Yes, because finally. And if you enjoyed, please give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel to see more of such content. I hope you're having a great day or a great week whenever or wherever you're watching. Remember to stay hydrated, and I'll see you in my next video.